Welcome back, everyone. I'm the This is Dark Souls 3. Before we forget to do anything, let's burn a bone shard. So now we're at +2 Estus. Alright, and next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is do Cleansing Chapel. And we'll keep going forward. Now, despite the fact that we have two different routes we can go, both routes are required in order to actually progress in the game. We'll eventually run into a point where there is optional stuff, but there's not too much of it. I'll say there's two optional routes we can go. And we actually I want to go ahead and send this back down just in case. Alright, so we're now back. We're not going to be running across the balcony. You can see the giant there that we saw earlier. And yeah, we're going to have to deal with him. You can kill him with ranged spells and ranged attacks, or you can, if you're fast enough with melee, you could possibly attack the hand when it swipes at you. But it's a lot easier to actually fight him at ground level. So right now, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be running through this and trying to dodge everything. So here we go. Lloyd Sword Ring. Crossbowman. Got it. And we're through. We got a Lloyd Sword Ring. Boosts attacks when HP is full. We can go downstairs or we go up here. Both lead practically to the same place. So we're going to start up first because there's stuff up here. There's a bunch of enemies here. Oh, one fell. So that other one's going to be we'll have to deal with later. Anyway, ladder going up. An item there with a blob in the way. Oops, wrong button. One shot him with the fireball spell. Or fire orb spell. Seek guidance, which is a miracle. What it does is increases your, I guess it increases your online sensitivity to things like messages and stuff, so you can see them a lot easier. Yeah, it's not great. There's almost no reason to use it. I guess that's another issue. I'm already starting with the issues, aren't I? So, like I mentioned before, originally magic was kind of like, every spell was like a gun, and then you would have individual ammo for that gun. But since now everything's based off the same ammo, which is FP, things like getting guidance or homeward or the homeward spell, I can't recommend doing that because equipping something like equipping a spell like homeward is, it's helpful. It's like, you don't have to use homeward bones and stuff like that. I did that in Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 1. It just takes a slot, and I didn't have anything else to put in there. But in this, even if I had a spare slot, the spell uses up FP, and I need that FP for my other spells. And so a lot of like the supplementary, supplementary spells or something like that, are no longer really, they're not viable. You have no reason to take them because, well, usually you don't have any reason to take them, but you can still take them just to have. But in this case, it's actually detrimental to do that because if you end up using those spells, it will drain your reserves for your actual attack spells or your healing spells. By the way, Mimic, you can see its teeth and you can see its breathing. So let's go ahead and do this nonsense. Mimics are not bad in this game. They're pretty easy, to be honest. Yeah, they're really easy, but they hit super hard. And Deep Rail to Divine Tome. So this is the other evil Divine Tome that you can give to What's-Her-Face that'll ruin her life. A Braille Divine Tome of the Deep belonging to the Deacons of the Cathedral. Intended to teach divine protection to the Deacons of the Deep, but later dark tales were added to its pages such that it's now considered a thing profane. We'll hold on to them. We'll eventually use them, but we're not going to give it to, what's her name? Arinia, whatever her name is. Alright. Gotcha. Alright. Hope you're not tired of those guys in suits and armor, because we got a new one. These guys are like clerics, essentially. They can buff themselves, which gives them more defense. They can also enchant their weapon and make like explosions happen with it, and of course... yeah, like so. See? Smashes leave behind little mines that explode. I believe you can get their shield, armor, and mace. Alright. Friend ahead. Try head. Be wary of monster. That's a good one. Give a message for this. Be wary. Be wary, monster above. This is what you do. Enter, then leave. It's timed to the point where you can reach and grab that item, and by the time you grab that item, that spider will fall. The spider does do curse, which means it can petrify you, and it does pretty good damage if it hits you. But you can freely attack it from here. Okay, fine. I'll play this way. The room itself only had an ember, but this thing drops Eldritch Sapphire, which gives you FP from critical attacks. So it's like that one ring that gives HP from critical attacks. It just happens to be for FP. Alright, so we're now on ground level here. A few enemies here. Oh, and I just got invaded by Longfinger Kirk. I notice there's a lot of things that invade us are named after, like, fingers, essentially. This guy has spiked armor, which is, if he rolls into us, he will do damage. Like so. Wow, I am definitely growing fond of the spear. Alright. So we got a spiked shield and the barbed sword, or something, barbed straight sword. If you kill this guy, I believe it makes his armor spawn, his entire armor spawn way up there, which we'll go to later. I'm a little curious about the barbed straight sword. It does bleed. And that's about it. It's a sword it's a straight sword that causes bleeding. Okay, neat. Anyway, you can see there's a bunch of those little midget guys patrolling, so we're definitely going to deal with them. You can also see there's a giant there. There's also a giant way over there. Oh, and we aggroed this guy somehow. So yeah, if I stab this guy normally, there's like no damage. So we're just gonna go ahead and equip that fire spear real quick. Those things will spew out stuff. This is muck. It's not poisonous, but it does slow you. You can't even run in it, so you're pretty much stuck with rolling. You want to get through it. Landed on me. That's annoying. I think down here. Open this gate. There was where we fought that leech thing and got the poison bite ring. You can open the door here, which can lead us to a different route, which we'll definitely take later. But this here leads us back to the bonfire. So we've got our shortcut. Also, since I went and got like 30 sunlight medals, that's why I have like 53 freaking embers now, because each time I succeeded on assisting with a boss, I got an ember out of it. You can pull this thing up, which makes these things come up. I honestly don't know the purpose for a lot of these. There's one that's actually a bridge, but the other ones I don't understand why they even exist. I need that attack. Alright, I'm being attacked by everything. I should have pulled them, so that's my bad. Come on, I know you're coming. Alright, there you are. It's now just me and you now, guy. I hate that shield bash because it tracks. So he pivots while he does it. That, and he blocks while doing the attack, and it doesn't count towards the stagger count. Gotcha. Great mace. So we got his weapon. And we got some Estus back, that's good. Alright, so just to make sure we got everything, we'll go over here. Pretty sure there's one more bad guy. Nope, we're good. Alright. So as we approach here, that guy's going to wake up and attack us. If you're close, he'll do things like stomps and swipes. If you're far away, he will rake his hand across the muck and fling the muck at you as a ranged attack. Just aim for the ankles, which you might notice are kind of bloody. And all you have to do is just stay in the middle. Just keep circling. Problem with really big monsters like this, of course, is you can't see their health bar because it's all the way at the top. And he's dead. Definitely worth killing. He gives you a lot of souls. He also drops a large Titanite shard, so we can actually get some progress towards upgrading our spear again. And there's the maiden set. The maiden set is essentially the armor set that Arenia wears. Also, he apparently left us some poop. Dung piles you can fling at opponents to do toxic, but it does do a little bit of toxic to yourself when you do that. Now you might think this is the door that we passed earlier. But you're wrong. Now you might think this door is the door that we passed earlier. And you would be wrong as well. This is just some balcony. Over here you can get some homeward bones. Get a view of a lot of nothing over there. Saint Bident, which is a spear. It requires faith to use. It does have some minor faith scaling. A silver bident, decorated by a holy symbol, formerly wielded by Saint Klimt. He discarded this weapon that draws upon one's faith on the day that he put his own faith behind him. Hold spear at waist and charge at special abilities. You hold the spear at your waist and you charge at the foe. Use strong attack while charging to extend the range of the charge. I've heard this weapon's not that great. Yeah, I've heard this weapon isn't that great. And I think this is a special weapon, so you can't infuse it, which is probably the biggest issue with it. But I'll take a look at it and see if there's anything I can do with it. I'm pretty sure there's nothing. It also has the thrust moveset, so it doesn't have any swipes, except for the rolling one. Alright, so we've killed everything here. The giants do not respawn, so yeah. Also, how many? Okay, yeah, we're not gonna have enough large Titanite to upgrade anything anytime soon. Speaking of upgrading, I should have been upgrading my my pyromancy flame. I have enough to do that again, but no big deal. A quick way to get through the muck is, of course, to equip a dagger and then just use sidestep. But I'm just gonna do this and get myself covered in the muck. I don't like how there's a lot of situations where there's this muck that just slows you down. I mean, it's like over half the swamp area near Barren Keep, and there's another area that has it, and then of course there's this area. I feel like it's just almost like padding. I mean, in some ways it definitely makes some of the fights challenging, like the fact we're about to fight this giant that has a bunch of slimes around it. But I don't know. In the case of like having to go back and forth between areas, it's actually kind of a pain. Anyway, I brought this up for no reason. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, so yeah, there's a bunch of slimes. One of them actually wandered in and attacked us earlier. And then of course there's this giant that's going to wake up. Dealing with all the slimes is going to be interesting. What I'm probably going to have to do is just aggro the slimes and then back away so I can kill them individually. Otherwise it gets rather difficult to deal with this because the slimes are in the way. One thing dealing with like big monsters like this, the other issue of course is the fact you might notice that I'm being nudged around a lot. And that has to do with the fact that oh good, he killed that for me. So yeah, that leech slug thing right there fell from the wall that I was hanging on. But anyway, so yeah, notice I'm being nudged around a whole lot. This actually becomes a huge pain for a particular boss later on that I'll talk about when we actually get there. But yeah, I don't like the fact I get nudged around so much. It's because the monster's so big that like it doesn't really animate very well. You can see that it's constantly pivoting and shifting and stuff like that. Oh, that hit me. did it. That really didn't feel like it did a lot of damage. Is it because I'm wearing a lot of armor and actually have defenses? Who would have thought? Got him. Yeah, I killed him with all the slimes around it. Good for us. But yeah, I mean, part of this game is about, you know, situational awareness and like dodging and all that stuff, but it's really hard to do things like that when you're constantly being moved around because the collision of the large monster is messing with your positioning. It's kind of like if you're playing chess against someone and they're constantly moving your pieces around. Alright, so we can easily take out these guys now with just a spear. They did get wounded a bunch, but not by much, because they are resistant to physical. Down here is the Drang set, which is just some sort of armor set. I don't really know much about it. Pale Tongue, so we now have 2 of them. Hard Soul. I have a slow roll, but it doesn't matter because I'm already in muck. Those are Drang Twin Hammers, so it's that's one weapon, so you can dual wield it. Alright. Got that taken care of, that's good. Let's take a look at the Drang set real quick. It's definitely a lot lighter, but its defenses are lower. Fire protection because it's light and strong. Has good poison, frost, and curse resistance. Everything else is lower though. So it's not terrible. Was there a helmet? No. Alright, time for some tough stuff. Yeah, there's the knight with the two-handed sword, there's a cleric knight, there's 2 casters, there's a few mooks around here. We're just gonna ignore them all and just walk around them for now. We're not gonna worry about it. Because what we are interested in is this shortcut. Actually, I shouldn't have done that. That's my bad. Bring it back up. Alright. Now, over there, it's going to be a whole lot of nothing. But, if you open this door, which if you think this is the door we passed earlier, you'd be correct. So we've opened the front door. Now doing this makes an NPC spawn. Yes, somehow he gets past us. And just appears down here. Hey look, it's Onion Knight. I'm gonna ignore you for a bit. Dual Charm, that's kind of like the Hunter's Charm, but it does it negates like buffs, I think is what it does. It's worded in a weird way, so I'm not exactly sure.
Well, you look reasonably sane. I am a knight of Katarina. I've managed to track down this cathedral's store of treasure. It's right over there, across that narrow part. Treasure? Always so close, yet so far. I'm in quite a pickle, indeed.
I'm just seeing if I can... Yeah. Hey, you can see inside the helmet. And it definitely does not look like the person that was in that armor originally. You might have noticed, like, he was like, hey, I'm a knight of Cathedral, like, as if he has never seen us before in his life.
Just hold your horses a moment. I know. Treasure is so sorely tempting.
Alright. Well, he's talking about treasure across this bridge.
Shame on you, you greedy guts.
That's not what you said.
Thought you could outwit an onion. Well, say hello to the nice giant. He adores visitors. Where's the old giant? What? Where's the bloody giant? How dare you? Have you no shame? Damn, damn.
Alright, so yeah, that was Patches. Patches has been in many of From Software's games, not just Dark Souls or Demon Souls. He was actually in, like, I think, like, some other, like, a mech game or some nonsense. I don't remember exactly what games they've made. But, he's pretty much always a jerk, and he's always a betrayer. In Dark Souls 1, he will betray you, and if you forgive him, he will end up killing certain NPCs. In this game, it's not as strict. You can forgive him, and it doesn't really seem to matter. He actually, in his storyline, he can actually potentially save a another NPC from death. But yeah, so that happened. But yeah, he's practically in all of the things. I do like the touch where if you've killed the giants already, it's just like, oh wow, what happened to the giants? Those were supposed to kill you. That was actually a really nice touch. The only thing I'm curious about is what would happen if the giants were alive. Would they actually... Because I've noticed that not only did that bridge lower, but all the other bridges lowered, which doesn't make any sense. But, would the giants aggro and actually run at you? Would they actually come after you? Because if so, that would be kind of neat. I mean, not that it matters because I usually kill them anyway. But, I mean, it would be an interesting touch and probably... Well, to be honest, it would be kind of a dick move, but this is Dark Souls, so whatever. It'll be at least one that's a little bit more interesting than the usual popping out of corners. So yeah, we actually don't want to go this way. Well, you know what? We can go this way. Wow, that guy really did not like those candles. Yeah, I mean, we could go and fight the boss. But I don't want to do that yet, because I'm worried about triggering things. Like, I don't want a sequence break by accident. Because this can really screw things up. I think around this point, if you actually went by that well that I pointed out earlier, there would be somebody in it, and that person will be missing some armor. And that's one of the really fragile parts. Like, the NPC quest lines are super fragile, and, like, impossible to figure out. Because I guess the idea was that you would be going back to the bonfire multiple times and possibly passing by that well multiple times. But the levels are so short that there's almost no... and there's so many other bonfires. And, you know, there's also all the checkpoints here that there's no point of ever going by the well. So, let's see. Let's go by the well. In fact, if you end up completing all of this, you can end up accidentally killing this person because you didn't even know that they were in trouble.
Hello? Hello? Anyone there? Anyone at all? Oh. I know that voice. Just
long has it been? It's me, Siegfried of Caterina. I'm loath to admit it, but I've been had. Someone's swiped my armor. Did you happen to see it anywhere?
Technically we have, but what it means by seen is whether or not you have it.
Oh, yes. I see. Not to worry. Great planning begets great fortune. An old tenet of the Knights of Caterina. And I am a master planner, I do say. Ha ha ha. I'm in quite a pickle indeed. Maybe I can fashion a replacement from I've got to use my head and think.
So yeah. So the next step is we have to get his armor back. There's a couple ways to do this. One of the ways is of course killing Patches, which I think in one of my saves I killed Patches and when you kill NPCs you get their ashes and you can give their ashes to what's her face to put their vendor stuff into her vendor. But she will kind of like scold me a little bit, be like, hey, you seems like you killed somebody or some, not like, pretty much implies that I murdered somebody. But it was freaking Patches, and Patches freaking tried to kill me like multiple times at that point. By the way, he's gonna try to kill us again later. But so yeah, the options of course is to kill Patches and get his armor. But also Patches is a vendor, so you can also buy the armor from him and just send it back. If you fail to do this, I believe Sigurd just dies, and that's pretty much the end of his quest line. I don't know when the trigger happens for it, but it can happen. But if Patches does have Sigurd's armor in his possession, he can potentially go and save a certain NPC. If he doesn't, and Sigurd's alive, you would have to do something a little bit different to ensure that a certain NPC doesn't die. It's pretty convoluted. It's pretty not clear, to say the least. So we got some routes we can go to. At this point, I will go ahead and probably call it a video. Yeah, it's probably a good time to do that. So let's go ahead and head back, and we will go to Firelink Shrine. We're almost done with Cathedral of the Deep. We pretty much just got the side trek to do, and then the boss, and then we will be practically done. We will be done with this area. I mean, besides, you know, making sure we get Sigurd's armor back.
Welcome. Very that.
So there you go, some additional HP.
Farewell, I should need of.
How much do I need for another level up? I need 4,000. So a fast way to deal with souls, you can do something like this. Just sell them directly. Oh. I thought I got ashes earlier.
Ashen 1.
Did I already give it to her? Oh, we did. Yeah, we did.
Ashen.
Keep thinking there was another set of ashes that we got, but no. Okay.
Welcome, husband.
We're just gonna go ahead and keep upping our HP a bit.
Farewell, I made of.
Alright. I am the Restior, and this was Dark Souls 3. Things are moving along. See you guys later.